Right now, Bernie Sanders is keeping up the pressure on Hillary Clinton. Sanders defeating Mrs. Clinton in West Virginia last night. She still holds a huge lead in the delegate count, though. Right now, she's holding an event at a community college in Blackwood, New Jersey, ahead of next month's primary, which she is favored to win. So what is the Sanders game plan? Ian Pryor is a communications director for American Crossroads. Garland Nixon is a Democratic strategist and radio talk show host. Garland, to you first. What's in it for Bernie? He can't win in the delegate count, we are told.
Well, I think there are a couple things going on. I think, number one, I think Bernie is working towards maintaining the coalition that President Obama built up. I think that there are a lot of people in the party that are concerned that Hillary Clinton is really upsetting the demographic of young people, and that if the party loses them, it could cause a lot of trouble. The other part is, and I think this is important with what's going on with the email servers, with Hillary recently kind of starting to maybe take a dive in the polls, that there's a concern that we may get to the convention and Bernie Sanders may be the only viable option for the Democrats.
You're serious that that could happen?
It's certainly a possibility. I think every reasonable person knows that if that email server investigation goes south, or as I said, if Bernie's, say, within 100 delegates or so, which is a possibility, and Secretary Clinton is 10 points behind Donald Trump, then there's a strong case to be made for Bernie Sanders if he still maintains his national lead in the polls.
Ian, it was supposed to be Hillary's year to be coronated, the nominee. And this upstart Democratic Socialist senator from Vermont was kind of an annoyance candidate or a novelty candidate in the beginning. All of a sudden, Bernie has really been coming on strong. Is he a serious threat to her?
Well, I agree with Garland on this point. I think that, while the primary, it looks good for Bernie, right? I mean, he's won 20 states to Hillary's 26. He's really only 286 delegates down in the delegate count. And he's got 2 states coming up, Kentucky and Oregon, that look pretty good for him. But the math is daunting because of those superdelegates. If you add in Hillary's superdelegates, her lead goes up to 770. So the question is, can Bernie trade space for time and hope that something comes out with this FBI investigation where either Hillary or one of her top lieutenants is indicted or pleads guilty to some kind of offense that involves her email server? And if that's the case, he goes into the convention, makes the case to superdelegates, hey, she is toxic. She cannot win a general election against Donald Trump. I'm your best option. I'm the only guy that can win, and that's his path to the nomination. And, he didn't want to talk about those damn emails before, but that might be his Hail Mary play.
Yeah. Over on another network, Andrea Mitchell, Garland, just asked Sanders whether he thinks Hillary Clinton has the tougher fight because she's getting hit so hard by Donald Trump. Listen to his answer.
The opposition to her, the negatives against her have been built up by Donald Trump just hammering away at her. And up until now, at least, he has not been going after you as much. She's fighting 2 big candidates, and you're fighting one.
Really? Oh, really? Andrea, in every state that we have won, in 19 states, we have had to take on the entire Democratic establishment. We've had to take on senators and governors and mayors and members of Congress. That's what we have taken on. So please do not moan to me about Hillary Clinton's problems.
He doesn't seem to have a lot of sympathy. Garland, how do you see it?
Well, I think that, there's a lot of validity to what Bernie says. You can go online and find a letter that Bernie, I think about a week ago or less, wrote to the DNC about his issues with the convention being tilted towards Hillary Clinton. So I think it cements his position as an outsider, and I think that what he's saying is valid, and, certainly someone who's struggling against a DNC in which the chair of the DNC is the former chair of Hillary's 2008 campaign is certainly going to feel that he's being slighted a bit.
Meantime, there's another heavyweight Democrat who's weighing in on all of this, the presidential race, and Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. We're talking about Joe Biden, who many thought would get into this race himself. Listen.
Well, yeah, I think he has been underestimated from the beginning, but I also think that it's really very, very early. But I think what's going to happen here is that the constant attack coming from Republican side, the sort of vitriol that's pouring out, I don't think it's going to wear well over the next several months. So I feel confident that Hillary will be the nominee, and I feel confident she'll be the next president.
The vice president also was not mincing words, saying he would have been the best option and president if he had run, but the timing was not right because of the recent death of his son, Beau.
I had planned on running. It's an awful thing to say. I think I would have been the best president, but it was the right thing, not just for my family, for me.
I would have been the best president. Kind of a backhanded compliment, I guess. Ian, what do you make of that?
Well, you know, if there's one thing you can say about Joe Biden, he says what's on his mind. He does not mince words. And I think, honestly, he's looking at the two Democrats, and he sees a fundamentally flawed candidate in Hillary Clinton that the majority of the country does not like, the majority of the country does not trust, and she's barely outpacing Bernie Sanders, who, as you said, nobody had heard of, a year and a half ago outside of Vermont. And he's probably looking at it saying, geez, I could have done a better job than this. And I'll tell you what, between a 74-year-old socialist Bernie Sanders and crooked Hillary Clinton, I tend to agree that Joe Biden would be the better candidate than those two.
Garland, very quickly, is he out of the race absolutely, completely?
Yeah, he's completely out of the race. I think he's got to let it play out at this point. People have kind of chosen where they're going to go, but I think, you don't get to be vice president or president without having a pretty significant ego. So I would expect anybody in that position to feel that they'd be the best.
Does he have the fire in the belly? We'll see. Maybe not. All right, Garland, Nixon, Ian, thanks very much.